Welcome to Heartland Darkland. I'm Cassie.
And I'm Shannon.
Hey,
Hey,
Dark
Dark
Hearts.
Hearts.
Oh, look at that. We were almost on it.
Yeah, and I didn't choke on my words that time. So,
Oh,
yay. Yay.
yay. Yay,
Kind of fun that
us.
we can listen to our music now in the beginning with this new
I
program that we
know.
use because then it's yeah, it just sets the tone.
I know. I was trying to because I was going to try to do cheering or clapping for us getting Dark Hearts close together. But I forgot to hit play.
It's
I
fine.
clicked it and I didn't hit play. But we have those options now that we could put noise effects
Yeah.
in here.
Next week,
Yeah.
that's fun.
Or as we go on, it's whatever. It's
Yeah, if you feel
whatever.
the need to just hit one of those randomly, feel free. I'm
That's what
down.
it is. That's what it is. Hopefully, I should have asked this before I hit record, but can you hear my dryer going?
No. Can you hear my
Fantastic.
washer going?
No. Lovely. Love
Okay,
that.
perfect. Then, yeah, I
I'm in
love
a
that for
new
us.
place. My husband built me a lovely desk area in our
That deserves
basement.
a clapping thing and
Yes,
a bobber,
go,
whatever you.
go, husband.
There. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you to my husband.
Do you like how I bowed like it was me?
Like
Yeah,
it's you. I love it.
I did it for him.
But unfortunately, our basement's just open, so it's not like I have my own room.
Yeah.
So it's
Hey,
also very open, and our laundry room is down here as well. So I'm like, the dryer's going. Maybe I
yeah.
should have come down here, but
No,
it is
mine's
what it
going
is.
too. And I
It's
kind of
also,
forgot about it. It's
yeah,
fine.
it's also funny because he was building this for me out of the love of his heart. But then we realized on Friday after Thanksgiving, I was looking at the calendar. I go, hey, did you know our anniversary's on Sunday? And
That's right.
he's like, sure did.
This is your gift.
It-
Surprise.
And that's what he said. He's like, that's your gift. And I was like, you know what? Valid, fair. I have nothing for you because it snuck up on me this year. Because,
Yeah, I forget you guys are December, right at the
yeah,
beginning.
December 1st,
Literally
literally the
the
beginning.
beginning. Yep. Okay. Yep.
But it's usually like we have Thanksgiving, there's a weekend, and then it's the following weekend
Yeah.
after
I know it
Thanksgiving
was
weekend.
weird
But
this year.
because of how Thanksgiving was so late this year, it didn't click in my head that these weekends were now the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, but like the week prior, my
Mm-hmm.
mother-in-law had kept the kids and we had gone out to dinner that night, and
Yeah.
that's when we got all the stuff. But he was like, hey, this was my thoughts and plans, and he'd started doing this. We picked out all the paint throughout the week and stuff. So, like,
It's nice. That's fun.
unintentional, like, anniversary week-ish type thing, you know?
Yeah.
I
How
am
many years have you guys been married?
married 12, and then we've been together for 16 now.
Okay, I don't even think I realized you guys had been married that long. I knew you guys were
Mhm.
together before that for a while, but wow, that's big. That's big. Good
Yeah,
job.
I
Get
know.
it.
Yeah, he was like, "So we've been together for like 20 years." I was like, "We're not 40, so
Oh
no.
no, friend, let's not go that road.
We've
Thank
got a
you.
we've got a few more years yet, please."
After when you said 40 and I was offended by that, whoa, who would you guys are not that old, and then I realized I am almost 40 and I was like, oh no, no,
I mean,
not that far
he's
off.
about to be 37. I will be in a few months.
Yeah, you guys are the same age. I didn't even realize
Yeah.
I think I knew how old he was. Okay, well,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
yep.
I take great care of my skin. This is the pro of working in a place where I can get facials, and I use
Touche.
professional skincare products.
Yes, you do look young. I also think that 40 is young now that we're
It
almost that
is.
age.
Yeah,
Because now,
100%.
when I was in high school, I would have said, holy shit, that's
Well,
old as
shit,
balls. But now that I'm
even
almost 40, I am
60.
a 17-year-old living in a 38-year-old's body, is the way I'm
Right.
going to just think of it,
Right.
which
Although
isn't always a good thing.
60 still feels young, but there are
I
days
know.
where I'm like, I don't feel this old, but I
I know.
feel this old.
Oh,
Like I
yes.
feel older. Like it's this weird thing of being like, I can't be almost 40,
I
but also
know.
I feel 90.
Right. I went to the eye doctor recently and I knew my eyes were getting bad, but she was just like, you know what? You're getting older. You're almost 40. Yep. It's just going to keep getting worse. And I was like, wow, I'm aware of that. But hearing someone else tell me that made me feel like, holy shit. And she was like, I'm not going to say what did she say? The B word. And I was kind of like, what? She's like,
Vocals.
yeah. And she's like, goals. I was like, oh God, no, don't say that. She's like, no, you're not quite ready. But I was like, this is just this. This is just life. There's no turning back now.
Eyesight, I've just always known I'm screwed. I've had bad eyesight since I was a child. Since I got my first pair of glasses in kindergarten, my maternal
Gosh.
grandmother was legally blind in one eye by the time she passed. Pretty much like she had so many issues. And unfortunately, I have found out that my mom may also like, there's a lot that I'm like, "Thank God now for audiobooks," because and then
Yeah,
we have so
that's true.
many phenomenal narrators,
Yeah.
because otherwise I'm gonna make my husband start reading to me the books
Yeah.
that I don't like the narrators, and I don't think he will enjoy some because he already listens to some of the books, like, sometimes I'll have my books playing, he's like, "What the fuck are you listening to?" "Don't you worry about it."
Yep. Don't you worry. You put your earplugs in, mister, or headphones or
Yeah.
some shit. But yeah, we're getting older and it's fine. It's just
It
the way it goes, you know? I feel like I've lived a full life. I think I did a lot of fun shit and when I was younger, so it's okay. It's fine. I'm fine with getting old.
I mean, did I send you that thing on
Yeah,
Instagram?
I responded
Okay,
to you just a little bit
okay.
ago because I just saw it and I was dead. I was like, I need to post this or we should just
I
post it
know
on
we
our
should
Facebook
share
after
it.
this
Yes.
conversation. It's fitting. Yep. Yep.
Because I love that you also knew exactly what I was talking about when I went there with that. It's a fun little
Yes.
thing about someone inviting someone to a birthday, like, I can't like, "I haven't even told you the
Yep.
day." And they're like, "I'm in my 30s."
Uh-huh. Yep. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we'll have to share that
I
to
think we
our
should. It's very
yeah,
and
it's
others will relate to it as well. So
100%,
it's
but,
fun.
yeah, so now that we've rambled on, I guess hopefully everyone
Hmm.
had a wonderful holiday break. Their, mental well-being was fine.
It went
Hopefully
fast. It was just
yeah.
always too fast of a break, no matter what it is from. Just too
So
fast.
fast and so long because
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
entire week with
totally.
my kids not having
Yeah,
school, and
that's
then I was
crazy.
so thrown off on the date. That didn't help either because I
No.
didn't know what day it was half the
Right.
time anyways.
I felt that and my kid even had school 2 days last week, but
Yeah,
like it just felt like this long extended break and it was like every day, oh, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, well, we just did 100 things yesterday and
yeah,
but I felt like it was nice and needed and I feel a little bit refueled and all that and recharged, but also like not. Because now I'm
yeah,
just like, shit, 3 weeks till Christmas, 3 weeks till my kid's birthday, and the funds are just, dwindling
right.
by the day.
I
So
know. I at least did I think all holiday shopping is
good.
done or at least close to it, and but then that's the problem is then my daughter's birthday is a month after Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And my son is then 10 days later, and they're asking about parties and stuff, and I'm like, "I need to make it
Yep.
to the holiday." I just need to
I
make
have to
it.
somehow fit that into the holiday, and I don't know because
Yeah,
my kid and she has basketball every weekend, and I'm like, I don't know when we're gonna do a party for you, so I don't
maybe.
know, but just the joys. I wish my child wanted to be born like in the summer. That would have made my life a lot easier. But,
I don't know. It
sometimes
might get
those
to the
things
point where you
just
guys might have to start doing it, like, the month
after
prior, the month
this or
after, or, like
yeah.
I was talking to someone about that, about how they had, like, a winter birthday, and so they would do half birthdays
Yeah.
instead.
Because hers is in June. Her half birthday would be in June. And I'm like, you could do like a pool party, but then remember, you don't get another one in December because that's what
Right.
I'm sure we would forget that quite quickly.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not as she gets older. When she was younger, for sure, that would have never worked. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
now maybe.
maybe.
Well, that's the thing,
Anyway,
as we're talking
well,
out loud.
yeah.
So
Yep, just
you
thinking
don't
that
like the
through.
chit chat, hopefully you
Keep
skipped
going.
ahead
Yep.
this, the first
Anyway,
8 minutes.
carry on, Cassie. This is like
Carry
our
on
catch up.
my wayward
Word
son.
son. There'll be
There'll be
peace
peace
when
when
you
you are
are
done.
done.
Is it gone
Okay.
or done?
I don't know.
All
When
right, well,
you
now that
are
we've serenaded you
done.
guys
I
and
don't
we
know.
can't sing much more so we don't get, hit with that.
Yeah, we don't own the rights to this music, so
All right, you guys, we're clearly in a fun mood today.
right.
So
Here we go.
So this week we are going to actually go to a couple different places in North Dakota.
Okay.
Yes,
North
it's
Dakota.
yeah, North Dakota, eh? That's more Minnesota, but whatevs. They're
Yeah.
similar.
Same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same seas. It's fine. So
Close enough.
yeah, it's been a while since we've covered North Dakota. It was like episode 93 or 94 or something like
Jeez.
that. And I
Which is
will
good, I
say,
guess. Like, I hope there's
yeah,
not a lot of
well,
crime there unless we're just, like,
also
really not
North
finding it.
Dakota, I don't think has a ton of people. Like there's a lot of
Fair.
like small like
Yeah.
towns and like farming areas, but like I
Yeah.
don't think it's a like there's not a ton except for
Yeah.
like, Fargo, maybe we could find some more crime from stuff there, but like
Yeah.
in general, there's not a whole lot because
Which
I'm
is good.
sorry to anyone who lives in North Dakota, but you can't tell me you really love living in North Dakota.
Right. There's not a lot going on, and you have to have people in order to have crimes happen. So
Yeah.
I guess good for them. And also, we're not like just, not doing North
Yeah,
Dakota because
it's not that we are ignoring North Dakota. So if you know of stuff, send it
yeah,
to us.
yes,
But, I went there not this last summer, but the summer prior, because my husband has family in Carrington, which was
yeah,
the
I remember
middle
that.
of nowhere.
Yeah.
His family is doing well in that area, but it's a very small area. And my husband's like, we could live here. The land is cheap. I was like, it's cheap because everyone wants to live there.
Yeah, because you, David, no, thank
You
you.
know, I was like, I already did that small town life. Not about to
No,
do that again.
yeah,
Thanks. Bye.
no, thanks, but no thanks. I don't care how cheap it is. So, okay,
And not North Dakota.
no, that's
No.
like worse than Wyoming almost. Top, sorry, just kidding, everybody. I know Wyoming,
Okay,
kind
so
of. Okay, back to
now that
this.
we've kind
Yes,
of dogged on North Dakota and a little bit of Wyoming,
fair.
sorry guys. So we are going to 2 different places because I found both of these really interesting. I hadn't heard of them before, but unfortunately, per the usual, not a lot of information on them. So the first place is in Dunseith, North Dakota. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. It's Dunseith,
That sounds right to me.
right? And actually, it's not. This place is like north of this town, but for the sake of ease, we're just gonna say Dunseith because it's up by these mountains that are there. But this is actually the Sand Haven Sanatorium. And it really does surprise me that there isn't more about this place and like there's not like some sort of like History Channel episode or
Yeah,
something about it,
it already sounds creepy, and you just said the name of the place. So,
right? Well, and just because, yeah. So the only thing I could find that had a show was Ghost Adventures. And we all know I don't like Ghost Adventures. I have watched them on occasion to try to do research for this, one to see what they catch, but also like sometimes when there are places like this that there's not a lot of stuff online, a lot of times they'll get more information than
right,
what you can readily get, right?
fair.
So I did try to watch this.
Trying
And
being
I'm
the
not,
keyword, huh?
yeah, I got 15 minutes into this. So this is the issue that I had with that. First of all, they're talking to this random couple in front of this place who went there in like 2009 and did their own paranormal investigation. And the woman said she was possessed by a demon, which I'm not even touching on that. It's like, whatever. But then he was like, well, because they're over the top ridiculous in this show. So he's like, do
Yes.
you think there have been satanic rituals here? They're like, oh, without a doubt. And we're just taking these rando couples.
Yeah, like
Like,
who are they and
who are
what is
they
their
to say
history and
that?
credentials to know any of that? Right.
And then I'm like, okay, are we back in the 80s and trying to bring
Yeah.
back satanic panic?
Panic. Yeah.
Because, like, also, if anything, it's teenagers just bullshitting, right?
Right.
Because then my
You're
other
in a small town. Once again, that's what people do. We know that
right,
firsthand.
right. And so then I guess like this random woman there, right, who her and her husband, she was supposedly possessed. She picks up this axe that she just supposedly randomly found, which mind you, they're in the middle of a forested area. And then the dude, Zach, or whatever the main dude's name is, he's like, we
Douchebag.
probably shouldn't even hold this. He said that Satanists like to do these rituals and they'll leave these items laying around for unsuspecting people to have it imbue them with like negative energy. I'm like, first, again, satanic panic. And I'm like, also, Satanists, if we're talking about people who are like the Temple of Satan or the Church of Satan, actually are pretty good people because they just care about human rights. So can we not with this misinformation here? I was like, real gross. Then the thing that made me finally be like, no, not doing this was there was unfortunately a death in this place I mean, there was a lot more. But in 2001, a young 17-year-old was there trying to do his own paranormal investigation with some friends when he slipped down a 40-foot elevator shaft and died.
Jeez.
And they then were trying to sensationalize this and be like, oh, evil entity pushed him and all this. And I'm like, let's not use this child's death to
Right.
try to add drama to our
No.
show. That's so gross.
It sounds like a terrible accident. Yeah.
Exactly, because this place is so run down. It's trespassing to be there to begin with, which I'll kind of
Right.
get into, but
Yeah, it's really condemned. Like
yes,
nobody
like
should be
it's
going
not
in there.
safe. It is not safe by
Right.
any stretch of the imagination. Like there was no elevator doors. Like they show the area. There's no elevator doors or anything. It's all
Yeah.
it would have been so easy to slip.
Like, I'm surprised they didn't just tear it down, but that also takes effort and
Well, and
money
I'll
too,
come
but
into that a little
okay.
bit too. But so I thought that was so gross, and I was like, "I can't watch
That's
this
terrible.
now."
Yeah,
Like, you're
that's
trying to
pretty
do
bad.
this, like apparently they did, I guess, get an EVP of some sort on there, but I was like, I can't bring myself to watch this when you
It's
guys
just
are."
gonna get worse. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, that was
Nah,
just too far for me,
right, like,
so
they were grasping at straws to make a full episode, so they
yeah.
added what they could. Yep.
Yes, exactly. So, like I said, it's also worth noting that this is trespassing to go on these grounds because this land is now owned by the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa, who purchased back their own land, let's face it, because it was
Mhm.
taken from them
Right.
in the first place, but they purchased this land back in 1992. So, little history on the place. It was built in 1912 as a place for patients with tuberculosis. So obviously, it's safe to assume the place saw quite a bit of death.
Yep.
And then in 1957, it was remodeled and a bunch of buildings were added on. Like there were underground tunnels and everything. And it was a place to house developmentally disabled and the elderly. Oh, it was so large with its connected buildings and underground tunnels that it was actually given its own zip code.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not what I was expecting.
No,
I was picturing a tiny little place, like,
no,
okay.
and again, it's just like out in the middle of the woods by the Turtle
Yeah.
Mountains and stuff. And so, as one can imagine at the time, you know, overcrowding there, right? Because they were getting government funding for things and stuff like that. And of course, we know that there was a history during this time in, the 60s, 70s, 80s of abuse of mentally disabled patients, mentally
Oh, yeah.
ill. And so it was still being used as tuberculosis treatment in the 50s, but because there was a vaccine that was kind of going by the wayside, which is
Mhm.
why they then did this. But so it by the time it had closed down in 1987, it had housed over 400 patients.
Wow. That's significantly more than I would have expected in a small area, but
Yeah.
it was probably one of the only places in North Dakota that probably did something like that too, I'm guessing.
And yeah, so it's also talked about how because of the nature of this type of place, there's supposedly a lot of unmarked graves of former patients on
Yeah.
this land as well. But I did find one site which is going to be linked called the Ghosts of North Dakota.
Mhm.
And they shared a story of a woman named Mary who actually stayed there for 4 months in 1963 when she was misdiagnosed with TB. And so she was like only 10 years old at the time. And I'm not going to go into the full story of it because obviously like, I didn't talk to her. They did. They have it all posted on their thing. It'll be linked there. But like, she talked about how there was only one restroom for 20 women. She was like with these adult women. They weren't allowed to leave their rooms. She never went outside.
Jeez.
If
Sounds like
she
a
were,
prison more so than
yeah,
anything.
like she'd have to go up to the roof to get fresh air sometimes.
Jeez. Yeah,
There were
let's pack them all
bars
in
on
there
the
with this TV and,
windows.
like, just yeah, okay, that
Yep.
sounds super safe and sanitary and
And she mentioned, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th floor housed the most severely mentally disabled people. And she said that she remembers looking in a window on one of those floors and seeing like adults in cribs and diapers just like screaming and stuff.
that's
And
so
that
sad.
just sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
So, with that history, knowing like obviously there are court documents, like this state was sued
Yeah, good.
by foundation for the abuse of mentally disabled patients and all that stuff. And so it's really no wonder that there are claims of paranormal activity here. People say that there's like a feeling of negativity and unwelcomeness, as well as like shadow people continue to be a pretty common theme there.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what kind of, like, testing they did on them and just, like,
Well,
gross
because we know at
stuff.
that time what,
Yeah.
right? We had the
Yeah,
lobotomies and
yep,
electroshock therapy and
yeah,
so many, not to mention, unfortunately, the sexual assault of,
yeah,
people and everything. Like, it's just, horrific things happened there.
yep,
And you're in the middle of nowhere because this young girl was talking about how this was the closest place to them and they drove 3 hours there. I think she was near Carrington, actually. And this was like the closest place at the time. The doctor's like, no, we think because the vaccine was so new, they thought she had it. She
yeah.
didn't.
Jeez.
So, and I really thought I would find more stuff. I was really hoping to find even some more like amateur paranormal investigation stuff on YouTube. And there was little bits here and there, but like I never found any like really
Right.
fun stuff. But I still thought it was a very interesting place. And to see, I'll post pictures of like the rundownness of what the place kind of came to look like. But it does appear that it has been torn down, or at least it's going to be.
Ugh.
Because the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa were awarded a $1 million grant from the EPA to clean up the area and restore the land, which is fantastic because, again, this
Yeah,
is their land.
good.
If there's something more, they can do that. So this is now part of the reservation there and stuff. And so, again, that was a place that, like, I think when people went, they either were trespassing or they had someone who could take them on because it is a very dangerous place. Because a few of the sites I saw who talked about it had someone from the area who was taking them in.
Okay, yeah. Well, so why did it close? Just because of all the, I mean,
Because
accusations and all
the
that?
accusations, there was a lack of funding that because at that time, like in the late 80s, then is when a
Yeah,
lot across the United States, all of
yeah,
those types of facilities were being closed down because of mistreatment. And then, the
yeah,
lack of funding, which now we still, now we have the issue of not having enough resources for mental health. In this day and age, I'm not saying we needed, like, we just need a better system there, but that was, yeah, there was
yeah.
too many residents there. The abuse claims and then just not the funding for it anymore.
That makes sense. I mean, it's sad if it was like such a huge, big building and like it could have been,
Well, it was
repurposed
multiple
type thing.
buildings.
Yeah, that's what you said how big it was. And I had no idea. Like, that's sad that that space just went to waste. But like, obviously, there's only so much you can do in a place like that. And then when there's that kind of shit, and yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I'm
that's
hoping if
sucks.
they are cleaning it up, if there are unmarked graves, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if they would do any sort of testing to try to find, descendants of these people or would just
Right.
like make a memorial for them, put them at rest. But I guess hopefully if there is any lingering negativity and stuff that like getting it cleaned up will kind of
Right.
help
Just kind of put that in
release
the
that.
past and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
move
hopefully
forward.
hopefully they can make it into something beautiful again.
And yeah, wow. Well, that's interesting. I am surprised there's not more on that. It makes me think of American Horror Story, the asylum season, like just the stuff that went on behind the scenes
You're
too, like that.
right.
And it's like, it just makes you like very disturbed that stuff like that can happen in a place that you're supposed to be safe
Yeah,
and cared for.
exactly, exactly. But a lot of times when you're in that vulnerable situation, people, actually bad people will take care of that or take
Yeah,
advantage of that.
for sure. Yep. Still do to this day. Doesn't mean it
Yes.
just stopped when that, but
No.
yeah. Wow.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
So the second place is also in the middle of nowhere. And this was one that I found at the same time, and since this one has even less information than the sanatorium, but I had to talk about this because at first I was looking up and it was so the second place is going to be Nakoma, which is Nekoma,
Hmm.
where there's a pyramid.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That is interesting and not something you hear about being in the Midwest,
Right.
nonetheless.
So it's not really a pyramid, but
Right?
it is
Yeah.
shaped like one. It's actually an old military structure from the 70s.
Weird. Like that
Yeah.
that wouldn't stand out like as not being odd
Yeah.
in North Dakota, like very covert there.
Well, and again, it's like in the middle of farmlands and stuff. And so
Yeah.
actually
Weird.
Nakoma only had 30 people at like 30 residents at the
Okay.
time. Maybe it's still 30 now, maybe there's no one now.
31, maybe.
Yeah. So one article I read tried to say it was in the 60s, but everything else said like they decided on this in the 70s. And so then it was like 75 when this came up running. So during this time it was the Cold War, right? With Russia
Mhm.
was going on. And so everybody's of course like afraid of Russia sending nuclear bombs, like gas masks and stuff. So the government and military had the Stanley R. Mickelson Safeguard Complex built in Nakoma. It was comprised of several different buildings, one of them being the pyramid-like structure that was actually a central radar and control center for missiles to be launched in case of an attack. So they had several different types of missiles that they could launch from this place.
Hmm.
And in 1975, this whole place ended up costing $6 billion. which in today's money is 35.2 billion.
Yep.
The pyramid alone was like 8 million, which today would have been like 140 million.
Jeez.
So I want you to remember that very large number, right? They spent all of this money to build these areas, right? And obviously there are like underground tunnels and stuff and
Right.
all
Yeah.
that. So it became an operation on April 1st of 1975 and was fully operational by October 1st, 1975. But then on October 2nd of 1975, the government decided it was ineffective and shut it down.
Okay, that makes sense.
And like they also worried about launching missiles over friendly territory. So by April of the next year, like it was completely decommissioned. All the tunnels were flooded. I think some of the
What?
buildings were torn down.
Wow.
So all of that money for to
For
only be
nothing.
operational for 6 months. And you would think we're about to spend all of this money. Let's maybe think about these finer
Right.
details.
Like, look into the future. Let's predict what we think is going to be the outcome of this.
How did we go through building everything and then after 6 months be like, you
Right.
know what?
Actually, nah,
After we've spent all this time and money building this,
that is
we changed our
insane.
minds.
Wow. So it just, is it still there? Does it
It
still
is
just
still there. So like it's
sit?
changed hands a few different times, it
Yeah.
sounds like. And again, it's another one of those places that it's private property. You can't go up into it, all that stuff, which I'm sure people
Yeah,
do, like at least
I'm
go up
sure.
to it, you know?
Yeah.
But they say you can see it from the gravel road pretty easily. But I guess in 2022, a data center called Bit0 Blockchain Inc. acquired it and planned to turn it into a data center. And they had
Okay.
like 500 million going into the project. And so
Wow.
someone else owns the rest of the land and all this. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's still gonna be a thing, like if they're turning it or if it has already, because we're almost at the end of 2024.
Right.
Um, but like I didn't see anything about like when I searched North Dakota Pyramid, you would think data centers opened, like
Right.
would have
You think that would be a
up.
big thing, especially considering the shape of the building, like it would be a
Yeah,
bigger story.
yeah.
That's crazy and eerie, kind of, that it just like sits empty or
Hmm.
did or might forever or
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I'm thinking, don't do it into a data center. Like you could totally turn this into like a campground type
yeah, I was
thing,
gonna say make this
you
shit like a
know?
hotel type thing. Like not really, but
Yeah.
like just a cool place. Like what else does
Yeah,
North Dakota have? Like you could do a
right.
lot of cool
I
shit
feel
with
like you
that to
could
get
turn this
people
into
there.
a touristy-ish stop
Yeah.
along the way of somewhere cooler. Like, I don't
Yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, I stayed at the North Dakota Pyramid. Yeah.
know. Yeah. Like,
Wow.
I went to the North
Yeah.
Dakota Pyramid and all I got was this t-shirt. You know
T-shirt.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yep. Yep.
lean
Wow.
into it.
For sure. That's crazy. And that's actually really disturbing that they spent that much money on it just to be like, nah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm just thinking of like t-shirts now that like instead of walk like an Egyptian says like walk like a North Dakotan or something. And you could have like
See,
Bigfoot.
there's so much potential there. Like,
Listen, let
yeah.
me help you market this place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There
I've
could be a
got so
little
many
gift
ideas.
store in there.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, come on. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so like I said, they're both very short things, but I just thought they were so interesting. And North
Yeah.
Dakota, like I said, we
That's
don't have a
wild.
ton on it there. And I'm like, these are just so, I'm like, how have I never heard of this pyramid
I
in North
know.
Dakota? Like the
Neither have I.
sanatorium thing, there were a lot of those throughout there. It's still
Right.
interesting. Like that seems like a big deal too. But like a pyramid, how did I not grow up not knowing that there was a pyramid in North
Right.
Dakota?
Like, why is this the first time I'm hearing about this?
Probably because no one has marketed it the way it should be. Don't
I
make it into a
know.
data center. Turn it into a
Yeah, that's
tourist attraction.
boring. Nobody's gonna go there for that, and it's just gonna end up closing again. Like, let's
Yeah.
not. Nobody cares about that.
You
Make
can't
it
tell me
something
you have a
cool.
ton of windows if it
Yeah.
was a military thing that was trying
No
to be
shit.
great.
Covert.
So
Yeah, which it's like, well, you're sticking out there. But like, and it's sad that they flooded like the tunnels and shit.
I
Like, I
know
mean, I feel like there's a lot of cool things you could have done there as well. But
100%. But yeah, there was like a bunch of missile silos and stuff like that. And I'm like,
wow.
I wonder if there's any way to like fix those up and like
Right.
unflood them or whatever. Like, because
Right.
if you
There
just
has
flooded them and there was still cement there,
That's
couldn't
what
you,
I was
like,
thinking. Eventually, you could drain that out
drain
somewhere.
it and then, like, turn it into even, like, a small little museum
I know,
thing?
which would be badass. Because North Dakota has nothing else going there. Like, sorry, once again, no offense, people, but like that would be cool. That'd be
Yeah.
something I'd go to North Dakota to see. Just
I mean,
saying.
all they have is Fargo, and that movie wasn't even real.
Right. So that's like that's all they've got. Literally, that's it.
Yeah.
So, yep. Okay.
So
Well,
that's North Dakota for you and some strange structures in North
yeah.
Dakota I thought were interesting and I just wanted to talk about, and I wish that there had been a little bit more of.
Yeah, I think that that's fun. And I mean, yeah, we do true crime and that kind of thing and paranormal, but like sometimes these just unusual things are also
Yeah,
very fun because
they
it's stuff
are.
that I would never have known, like without looking
Right.
up. And there's still like eeriness to it,
It
you know?
is.
Like,
Well, and the sanatorium I was hoping was going to be a paranormal
yeah, which
episode, and then, I mean, listen, the place is
it probably
apparently
is.
haunted.
Yeah,
Understandably so when you had that many people. Like, I don't know over the course of the time it was open how many people would have come through there and how many people would have died
right.
there. But,
Oh, yeah.
that place is for sure got to be haunted. And there were a few pictures I saw that, like, somewhere I was like, okay, maybe, but I'm so jaded. And this day and age, I'm like, AI has ruined everything.
Everything. I agree because it's hard to know what's real and what's not real. And yeah,
Yes.
it sucks. It really sucks. And I'm sure that like there has to be people that have stories, but like maybe people that are like legitimate, actual things that happen. I feel like if something like that happened to me, I'd be so freaked out. I probably wouldn't even talk about it because I'd be like, just like scared. You know what I mean? Like shut it away type thing. So, I
I
mean,
mean,
who
I'm sure
knows?
shit that has happened to me, but it depends on
Yeah.
the
But some people
situation.
might not. Yeah.
No, for
Like,
sure.
and depending on the severity of it or what happened exactly, I don't mean, you just never know. And
Right.
and then after that poor kid died in there,
Yeah.
people probably were like, hell no, not going anywhere near that, and maybe they did better, like, us securing the building
I
then
don't know
after
because that
that.
that one couple who were
Right, the
they
random
were in
couple.
2009, so that was
Oh,
8
yeah.
years after the fact, and, I mean, of course, teenagers, because again, it's a small area, so there's so much graffiti in there,
Yeah.
and, some of it's creepy, a lot of it's dicks,
Yeah,
because that's what teenagers do,
yeah,
right?
right.
And so, like, there is so much graffiti in there, so, teens are in there doing stupid shit.
Yeah, purposely trying to make it something it's not, but
Mhm. And it's just one of those things too that's like I feel like even if there was nothing paranormal, it's still gotta be so eerie and, like, creepy to just
just an
know the things that would have
abandoned
happened there.
yeah. Just abandoned buildings, even if nothing creepy happened, it's just eerie and not
Yeah.
knowing all the history that was there, and, like, there was a history, like, even now when I see a house, I drive by and it's, like, condemned, danger, do not enter. I'm like, "Oh gosh," like,
Well, that's even,
it's
like
just creepy, you just don't know why.
the barn that was on 132nd for forever that Fairways now.
Yes,
Like, you
yes.
sit there and you look at it and there's I mean, that was so sad when that got torn
I
down
know.
because I just sit there and think, like, sometimes I, like, go into my head and I'm like, think about the family that lived there at one point, like, when that was first built
Yeah,
and this was new and this was all just open land, and
yeah, it
then
was literally
all
like
the
a
things that
farm
took place
too.
yes, and, like, to take place, and
I
then,
know.
like,
It's not even, like, creepy as much as it could be sad and, like,
could
a
be almost
sentimental thing
sad
too.
yeah.
Yeah. I know. To think, like, they probably never would have thought in X amount of
Mhm.
years that this would just be torn down and it would just be city
Well, and
and
then I got sad because there was an influx of fox in our neighborhood, and so I'm like, "You just got rid of their home?"
I know. That kind of oh, that makes me so sad, that stuff, like, hardcore because
Yeah. I mean, we're encroaching so much. Coyotes have been
yeah.
crazy over
I
here lately. I was out a week or so ago with Archie, and it was like 10:30 at
gosh,
night,
keep
and we were,
him.
like,
So little.
freaking out. Well, I have to even in our backyard that's fenced in,
Yeah.
I have to take him on a
That's
leash because
scary.
otherwise he eats things he's not supposed to.
Yeah, fair.
So I'm out there and you can hear them all. They must have been fighting over something or whatever, but it was ridiculous. And then last night, it was like the largest owl sound. Like I could hear it. I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, dude, you've gotten bigger, but I don't know, an
Right.
owl still trying to take you.
Right. It is pretty crazy. We see some weird stuff over here, and I think it's probably just because 'cause we're close to the lake in that
Mhm.
area because, we get those wild turkeys in here. We had a fox in our backyard at one point, and, like, we had a deer one time running down a street in the neighborhood, and that made me so sad because I was like, clearly he got so lost. He's freaked out, or she, whatever, trying
Yeah.
to figure out how to turn around. I'm like, I just want to take like a leash and put a leash and be like, here, I'm taking you back to where you want to go, because I'm like, it's just so sad. And could be a whole other tangent of things, but
I mean, it could
yeah.
be. Yeah, so there's where we are. But yeah, no, we
Yep.
get deer because we have an empty field across
Yeah.
from us. So we get deer over there all the time and turkey.
Yeah.
And we used to get skunk all the time, which knock on wood, thank goodness we haven't had. But literally, again, the week of my wedding, my dogs got sprayed with a skunk by a skunk. And thank goodness my wedding dress, none of the wedding stuff was in our house.
Thank God. Oh, that's terrible. That's the
Terrible.
worst. And skunks are really cute. So it's really sad
I
that they
know.
are so smelly, because they're real
Well, and
cute.
it's their defense.
Yeah. So it's like, that's
And
sad that they're scared enough to do that. And that's, if
yeah.
that's all they have, I mean, that's, you do you.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the all over the place episode,
Right. We
kind
call
of.
this the miscellaneous episode of all the things that are going through our minds right now. So
That's what happens.
yeah, man.
So yeah, that, is North Dakota. If you guys definitely, like, for some of those places like North Dakota, South
Yeah.
Dakota is even kind of hard to find much.
I know. It is. I feel like we've
Um,
done a lot of the bigger ones that we know of from
mhm.
there already. So please
Yeah,
send them on.
definitely, for sure. As we always say, and it's all show notes has all of our socials. YouTube now, TikTok, I post the full episodes, and if it's over an hour, it gets split into 2 parts. So if you want to watch us, it's not that I've done any video editing. There's nothing
Who
pretty. The
cares?
images don't come up. But if for some reason you want to play the video, you can go to YouTube or TikTok, and they are playing
There you
there.
go. There you go.
So, like, rate, review, share, all the things really
Yes.
help.
Yes, please. All the things.
All the things, and I guess until next time, stay hopefully kind. Oops, I started that a little early.
It's like, ooh, what happened
Nope,
there?
nope, that's my bad.
Just
Don't
leading
worry.
into it,
I just leaned into it. So stay
Yeah.
heartland kind.
But Darkland wary.